Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are into the second round of this Warrior Esports tournament, and my name is Rubel.
I'm Bobble, and we'll be skipping Champion Select on this next game, just with how the structure is working. We should be able to get full games next time, but no promises. In any case, we'll be watching the full game, just not getting to watch it from Champion Select. So we'll be getting into that very, very shortly.
So we didn't really go over all the teams that were playing, so we had kind of a faux round there in our first round, just because we did have 18 teams originally.
Yep.
And the way the bracket system works, it really likes powers of two, so we had to have two teams face off there to essentially get into the real meat of the tournament. So the first two games were between Nintendo Only and Team Electric, and then the second game was Alpha Doge, or Doge, however you pronounce it, versus 4Nepo Senpai Daisuke. Anyway, can't pronounce it. Those were the two teams. Team Electric came out ahead, and for Nepo Senpai Daisuke, they're going to be Daisuke from now on. Okay, so it looks like we are going to go into this next game, which is going to be for the Big Booty Bandits, and the Big Booty Bandits versus TemporaryIGN, and we'll be underway in just a few minutes. And it looks like we are dealing with that little bit of delay going on right now for the during the Champion Select.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting into that very, very shortly. Prior to that, we can talk a little bit more about patch notes. Let's see, I believe we talked about Summoner Heal. In any case, Summoner Heal no longer removes Grievous Wounds. The most important part of that was Ignite. They really pushed Summoner Heal very hard, and it got a little bit weaker with this not removing Grievous Wounds, but it's already pretty much better than Barrier. So
okay, so it looks like some of the champions that have been chosen on this, we have the Thresh, Darius, Vi, LeBlanc, and Caitlyn for the blue team. And then purple team, we do have that Jarvan 4, Lux Pantheon, Varus, and Morgana.
Yeah, and Jarvan 4 got some buffs recently. They increased the damage on his passive and, made it higher damage at all levels. And the cooldown is a little bit longer at early levels, just to kind of balance that out. And the cooldown is shorter than it was at higher levels, making it just stronger across the board. They also reduced the mana cost significantly on his shield, just to give him a little bit more abilities that he can cast. But he still has the very narrow range on his knockup, and that was the change that happened a while ago when J4 was everywhere, and then they nerfed him pretty hard. I still feel he's a little bit weak, because it's very hard to hit multiple people with the knockup with how tiny the radius is on it now. But his ultimate is still a very powerful crowd control ability if people don't have flash abilities up to get out of it.
But it looks like the TemporaryIGN, which is that purple team, they are going for that kind of catch comp with the Morgana and Lux. Those are two very popular, just kind of want to catch them out, but they also do still have some AoE potential there with J4, Morgana, and Pantheon. There is definitely some AoE potential.
Well, and they have a tremendous amount. If they catch someone with anything, Panth Stun can guarantee a Lux Bind or a Morg Bind, and if any of those hit, or even a Varus Bind, and if any of those hit, that's just 8 seconds of not moving. Just an absurd amount of single target CC. So they have a tremendous amount of catch, and Lux has great single target damage, just for really bursting people down if they're stuck in one place with her ultimate. So
it looks like we are going to be into the game here in just a moment. And
it's just loading up on our screens. But very interesting too. Pantheon's been a very popular jungle, but J4 is actually jungling, but it's Pantheon top for this team. So he's been a top. He was a solo laner really before he was a jungler. They pushed his jungling ability kind of mid-season 3, and he's shown up a lot more then, and a lot in season 4 just with his powerful catch ability. And his ultimate's actually more powerful out of the jungle because you don't know it's coming. You see him leave lane when he goes to ultimate someone else's lane when he's your mid laner or your top laner. But out of the jungle, you just never see him, so you can't really plan for that ultimate. And he does have teleport as well, which gives him a tremendous amount of mobility. He can ult mid or ult bottom and then teleport back into his top lane and not miss anything, really.
Yeah, and both of these teams are actually running pretty heavy catch comps here. Vi is also another one of those that she really likes to catch people out, and Thresh, he loves them hooks. So
Yeah, so Darius has a great pull too. If he hits it, you're in a lot of trouble.
And LeBlanc, she is like one of the queens of assassinating people. Because like once she gets that Deathfire Grasp, which is one of the most common first items, because once she gets it, she can blow up literally, maybe not literally, but nearly every target.
Yeah, and she really likes the cooldown reduction on it as well. She is, she has a lot of single target abilities, so she really needs to be casting those abilities multiple times to have a large effect in a team fight, aside from just blowing someone up. So
yeah, it should be a pretty solid game here. Bottom is going to be very aggressive with Lucian and Lucian Morgana. That is definitely a very aggressive bottom lane. Meanwhile,
Varus Morgana.
Varus, I'm sorry. Lucian.
There's no Lucian.
Oh, it's that Arctic Ops.
Yeah,
really messing with me.
Yeah, the new skin is kind of crazy, and the sounds on it are a little bit weird too. They're kind of off. But yeah, so the Varus Morgana versus the Caitlyn.
It's definitely going to be an extremely aggressive bottom lane, and I wouldn't be surprised if top is actually pretty aggressive too, because Jarvan, he has pretty solid trading potential and early game, and Darius loves it when people get in melee, and he just. So I wouldn't be surprised, because both of those, they don't have a ton of sustain, but they have a ton of trading potential with both of those champions.
Yeah, they're also both very mana constrained. Both Pantheon and Darius have huge mana issues up in that lane.
Oh yeah, that's right.
When they're trying to trade well. So, whoever runs out of mana first, whoever manages their mana worse, will often lose that lane. And interesting items. I'm surprised Darius went with that Doran's Shield, because Pantheon is very heavily reliant on spell damage, and that Doran's Shield doesn't mitigate that at all. He auto-attacks some, but not a lot. I think that's kind of an interesting. I personally think a Flask 3 pots is a much better sustain. One, to help with that mana issue, with those mana issues that Darius has, and two, just because it's a lot more health, overall, especially against a Panth than that Doran's Shield. And if you're getting pushed out of lane too, that Flask just keeps getting better.
We definitely have some interesting things going on, especially a mid lane. We got LeBlanc versus Lux. We have the Queen of Skill Shots versus the Queen of Dodging Things. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins out on that, because if Lux can land those binds, LeBlanc is going to be in a little bit of pain. But if she can't land those binds...
Landing a bind on LeBlanc's really hard. So it'll be interesting. I give the lane squarely advantage to LeBlanc, just simply because she is a top tier champion, and we don't see Lux mid very much, just because she needs to hit everything to really be a powerful damage dealer. I think the most interesting thing out of all these items, though, is that Morgana, she did not start a gold item. She started Doran's Ring.
Yeah, and she is going full aggressive.
That's very exciting, and I don't think it's bad, because Varus has very good level 3 damage and decent poke, and Morgana has good poke as well. So I think and Morgana's kind of considered a hard counter to Thresh. Her shield basically makes Thresh worthless, because he relies heavily on his CC, and she just magic shields up, and then his death sentence does nothing, his flay does nothing, and then he's just kind of an auto attack bot.
And it looks like we're going to see a gank up at top lane before we see one at bottom lane. Vi is positioning for a quick gank at bottom, and Jarvan looks like he's going for that top lane gank. But Darius did just drop a ward up in that top dry bush there. So it is going to mitigate a lot of that effectiveness there. There goes the ping, and Darius sees it, so he just backs off immediately, and that should nullify that.
Unfortunately for Darius, Vi started blue instead of red, which is a little bit weird, so she's not going to be able to help him out at all. So he's just going to kind of hang out back, because he doesn't have vision in the close brush, and he doesn't have a Vi to cover for him. So he basically is just getting zoned out of XP simply because of his jungler's position.
Yep.
And she's just farming at this point. She's not putting any pressure either. Jarvan's taking her jungle. Yeah, that start, I'm not a fan of it, because you don't get help from the ADC either. They're going to run into each other.
Yeah, we're going to see a battle in the jungle here. Both have double buff. Jarvan is the same level as her, and we'll see who wins out on this fight.
She hits her Q. I can't imagine Jarvan winning this fight.
He does manage to jump over. LeBlanc, beautiful flash, but does go down to that Q, and LeBlanc doesn't even look like she's going to miss out on too much CS.
Yeah, missed 2 melee minions for first blood plus double buffs. This is. I already gave it to. I was already I think. Yep.
Oh, that's bad. Lux taking some huge damage there. That's going to be enough to force her out of lane, and LeBlanc just won her lane easily. with that little play. So Jarvan getting a little too greedy there, going for that Wolves. Definitely a little greedy because Vi, she has massive trading potential. I didn't realize how strong it was compared to Jarvan because now that I think about it, it's like Jarvan, he has that initial burst sustain kind of damage, but bottom lane, we do have that gank going on from Vi.
Oh.
And there's the hook on Morgana, and that's more than likely going to ensure this kill. She does try to flash. Heal might be enough.
Yeah, it's going to be enough. And unfortunately, Kate got a little bit cute going for like the net Q combo without having that Q up.
Yeah.
Or, just not having that Q up. And, you know, if she just stayed in auto-attacked, it probably would have been enough to kill that Morgan.
LeBlanc is going to be coming for this Pantheon, and we'll see if she can get this kill. It looks like she is going to go for the Dower Dive, and she does have that double buff, so she's going to have tremendous amounts of damage here. Big minion wave. Darius comes in, gets the auto attack, gets the turret aggro, and down he goes. He didn't even try to dodge or anything.
Nope. Darius didn't even hit the Q there, by the way. That's how ridiculous that gank was. You know, Darius misses the Q. And oh no,
that's why. Okay, so we did have a disconnect there. So hopefully we can pause the game.
Yep.
But he is down.
This is really dangerous for Vi.
Vi, she does get caught out a little bit. LeBlanc still managing to force a flash there from Lux there, because if she'd landed that chain, it would have been really rough for her. But
yeah, and that's some spell order things. I'm not a fan of how she did that. You know, like she gets the damage right away from that Q, but if she comes in chains first, the chain's more likely to hit.
Yeah.
And then if you do the chain Q fast enough, the Q can actually be triggered by the chain, even though you fire the chain first, just with the projectile speeds. But the chain hits a second time when it roots. So if you hit the first chain and then you hit the Q, you hit the first chain, hit the Q, the second trigger of the chain, when the chain roots, it does damage as well. That'll trigger the Q, silence, and additional damage as well. And so that's, that's probably what I would have done there, because, like, you really need your chains to hit to get kills with LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Especially in that situation. So you really want to be firing those chains first. It's greedy to fire the Q first, especially at max range. So
we do have a pause going on right now. It is because Pantheon did disconnect not too long ago. We did see some of the effects of that, so hopefully it doesn't play a major role into this game. But it did play a minor role. I think regardless that Pantheon was in trouble. Because it looked like he DC'd in the middle of it. He might have been able to get a kill on Darius if he landed a stun right after he got tower aggro.
As soon as one of them got tower aggro, he lands a stun. Maybe on like LeBlanc or something. Get out of the melee range of Darius.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting. It certainly would have been a much more interesting fight than just kind of walk in, walk out with Darius having a third health left and LeBlanc just being full. But yeah, I expect Panth was still going to be dead. Oh, he was out of mana.
Oh yeah, that's
he might have had mana for a stun. If he didn't, he had mana for like a spear. But he definitely didn't have mana for all three of his spells. So,
so we're still trying to figure out what's going on here with Pantheon. And, but in the meanwhile, nobody's really gotten back. Like, we do have Darius. He does have that first major item with the Giant's Belt, which is going to provide a lot of tankiness. The big thing that it does is it does take a lot longer for him to get into that critical range that Pantheon does have. Like, he goes down below 15%. I believe it is where he ensures like automatic crits with his spears and his auto attacks.
Yeah, his Qs and his auto attacks.
So that does make it harder for him to get in that range. And Pantheon, he is kind of like a burst caster, kind of AD carry sort of thing.
It does at the same time make that range bigger.
Yeah.
So once it makes that range bigger, and once like that spear, like if you're at 15% or lower, Pantheon's Qs are generally going to kill you.
Yeah.
So like making that range bigger isn't actually that much stronger. My biggest worry is again about the mana. Pantheon was out of mana before Darius, so Darius might be running mana regen masteries. He might even have some runes there. He might have managed his mana through those abilities because he wasn't running out. He might have just been like managing it better. Pantheon runs out of mana really really quickly if he's trying to trade in lane. So. But he didn't buy mana items. If Pantheon gets some mana and can still trade with Darius, that's going to be very, very powerful up in that top lane because both those champions really don't do much when they're out of mana.
Yeah. And other than that, nobody's really bought too much. Jarvan on his first back there after his death, he did buy that Spirit Stone, but other than that, really not too much. We do have those red totems, the sweeping lenses. We do have those purchased for the jungle so that they can start clearing out a lot of those vision trinkets that are going on. But other than it's still too early to tell really what's going on with this game. Blue team has a small, well, it's pretty substantial actually this early. 2K gold.
Yeah,
almost.
it's pretty big. They're basically ahead in every lane. The first blood was huge. The Pantheon kill was decent, but like just being ahead on items. That J4, with the jungle, you really want to buy your starter jungle item, either your Razors or your Spirit Stone and boots, because you're moving around so much that extra speed is actually a tremendous amount of time saver, both in ganks and in jungle clear speed. So because he invaded and didn't just died basically, he didn't get his boots. So
the other big things is he did lose his blue buff.
Yeah.
And Jarvan loves the red buff to increase his clear speed, but he is fairly reliant on that blue buff in order for him to actually use his abilities. Because Jarvan, his abilities aren't that cheap.
It's not that big. It's not that big of a deal because if you die losing it, you get your Spirit Stone almost always, and your Spirit Stone solves most of Jarvan's jungle mana problems. Not all of them, but enough of them that if you're managing your abilities correctly, you can still clear pretty well and keep your mana at a point where you can still gank lanes. Especially with the shield change. Previously, you pretty much couldn't shield at all in the jungle. It was just too expensive mana-wise, like you would just Umi immediately. Yeah. And now with the mana reduction, you can actually shield occasionally and, keep your health higher with it. So, this disconnect, they apparently can't get a hold of him. They don't know what's going on. So maybe his internet's gone out or anything.
Yeah, it looks like his internet has gone out. It says his internet is OP lol, is what the chat just said. So apparently we are trying to resolve the issue. It should be up here in just a moment. Hopefully it's not too long. But
anything else? LeBlanc hasn't bought yet. Unfortunately, Lux ended up having to get pushed out of the lane because of those double buffs before she could buy a big item. Generally you wanna have the 900 gold to go buy a chalice.
Yep.
And she was only able to buy that null magic mantle, so she's only really halfway to that chalice. She bought some wards.
Yep, and with the assist there on Vi, she's actually already sitting at almost 1,200 gold, which is enough to go back and buy let's say Spirit Stone boots and a little bit into probably Elder Lizard.
Spirit Stone, Spirit Stone boots and a longsword, assuming she's buying Elder Lizard, which I think she will, but she will have to buy Merc Treads, which is fine. Merc Treads is a good item. It's great against this team. There's a lot of magic damage on it with Morgana, Lux, and then Varus actually does some of the most magic damage of... he does the most magic damage of the playable, like the top tier 80 champs. The next one is Corki, and I'm not sure whether Varus or Corki does more magic damage. I think Corki does, but I'm not
Corki
positive.
Does too.
Varus has % health magic damage triggered on his W, which is very powerful. His ultimate also does magic damage, and his Rain of Arrows. So he has a lot of inherent magic damage.
Otherwise, it's just phosphorus bomb in the ultimate. Anyway, the intricacies of AD carries, they're so sensitive because just a little tweak makes them like the worst AD carry, or just a little bit
tiny
more
changes, or just a visual update, as we saw with Twitch recently. Twitch got a visual update and went from being played in less than 5% of games to showing up in being a top tier ADC, which is pretty hilarious because he only got a visual update. There was actually no mechanical changes done to him. It was just a visual update. But I think it was just kind of reminding people that Twitch existed, and his stealth ganks are extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And
his ultimate, when his ultimate lines up, it is possibly one of the most devastating AD carry abilities in the game.
Yeah, he is one of the hyper carries, and he's probably a better hyper carry than Cog, because while Cog has powerful magic shred, it's all single target. And Twitch, he's just going to blow an entire team up if they're all stacked on top of each other. And you can, there's several abilities that can really keep them stacked. It looks like Pantheon has gotten back into the game.
He has gotten back. He's still finishing up loading, and we should be underway in probably less than a minute here.
Yeah, hopefully less than a minute, assuming there's no like re-disconnect or anything, and he loads quickly. So
sorry about this little delay, guys. Internet happens. It's a pain when it happens, but unfortunately, we would love to fly you all out and have you work on our own internet and all that sort of fun stuff. But
well, not only has Riot not given us the LAN client, we don't have the equipment.
And I'm still waiting on my private plane. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably holding us back too.
So anyway, we're back in the game. It looks like we've got a little action going down at mid lane. LeBlanc and Jarvan duking it out a little bit here. Jarvan is going to barely stay alive, but oh, it's so close. So close. Meanwhile, at bot lane, a little trading going on, and top lane, the mighty Pantheon is back with that Dragon Slayer skin. It's a pretty skin.
It's very pretty.
It's brand spanking new, in case you guys didn't know, like brand spanking new.
Yeah, like less than a week old on live. So yeah, very pretty. All the graphics look very cool. So you know, Darius just like kind of zoning him out. Doesn't look like he wants to fight because he's been in full range a couple times.
Thresh misses a pretty big flay there and takes some damage in return, but it looks like they managed to put enough damage on Varus in order to force him back. So that's actually going to be pretty substantial here at bottom lane, because that is going to be enough for Caitlyn to actually get pretty far ahead in this bottom lane.
Yeah, she is already 8 creeps ahead, and she's not pushing, which is interesting. I would be pushing hard as Kate. Yeah. She's giving she's just letting, you know, the problem is with the lane pushing, not many of the creeps are going to die. So she's, you know, this isn't going to get to tower. Like, the cannon creep is going to die and nothing else until Varus gets here. And actually, the cannon creep isn't even going to die. Varus is going to get there for the cannon creep. I think this is a massive mistake by blue team. You know, they're going to... Morg's even getting to hanging off the tower. Yeah. Varus misses nothing. He misses a melee creep or two.
Yeah. So, well played there by Morgana, just being able to hold it off from that range. And she actually dodged a couple hooks in there, it looked like. So, doing a pretty solid job. Meanwhile, top lane, they're just trading it out, and you don't want to do this.
Yep.
You don't want to do this, Pantheon. This is what Darius loves. He loves for you to stay in sustained melee and get those bleed stacks, because then all of a sudden his ult hits for tremendous damage.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he ulted instead of queuing. Yeah. If he had waited just that second to like flash Q ult, he probably would have gotten that kill, because that Q missed because Pantheon flashed.
Yep, but Pantheon, he should be trying to hit and run a little bit more versus Darius, because Darius, he just loves it because like he can get his W up faster the more bleed stacks you have, and then his ultimate does huge damage if he has max bleed stacks.
Yep. Oh wow, this is a pretty good catch by J4.
Yeah, look at that. Vi, she is going to be able to dash away there onto the other side.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be a red buff for J4. No, LeBlanc's here. I think it's, yep. He's going to try and smite it. He did not get vision with that spear, unfortunately. So there's no way he's going to be able to smite it. LeBlanc, that's pretty
ballsy. She does manage to get some nice damage, and Vi gets the ultimate on to that Jarvan. He does try to flash the wall, burns the flash, and goes down, though, to one final auto attack before that actually went off, it looked like. So.
Yep. So good play by LeBlanc. Little weird that her chain's projectile seemed to go right through J4. I was very surprised that it didn't hit. Yeah. You know, a little weird there. I don't know if it was glitchy or just our screen or just kind of the latency between the individual people's computers and the terminal, like it missed on his screen or missed on her screen. But, you know, in those point-blank projectiles, wow, LeBlanc dishing out tons of poke to Lux here. She needs to get those shields off as soon as she sees LeBlanc like walking in range.
Yeah, or distortion.
Yeah, she needs to throw those shields up. And or hit a root. You can root LeBlanc mid distortion.
And unfortunately, up at top lane, Darius does have that chain vest, which means Pantheon, he burns a ton of mana to try and dish out a lot of damage for this Darius, and it's not doing much right now. So LeBlanc is actually rotating up here. And the trading potential is actually pretty devastating here for this Pantheon.
Yeah, that's
and LeBlanc is coming up.
There's the distortion. There she goes.
Big damage. There's the lockdown, and another kill there for Darius. Jarvan is rotating up, but he does not have the damage to take on two people.
Yeah, and we saw the chain first there. Worked much better. Guaranteed the chain. Hit with
nice
the 2Q.
Look at bottom lane. Varus getting caught out, but actually overcommitting a little bit to that fight. Thresh gets brought down low enough for a final auto attack to pick up the kill there. There is the ace in the hole, and Varus manages to take a lot of that damage, but they both are incredibly low. Nice binding there, and a dodge with the Pillow over Peacemaker. So doing a great job of dodging these skill shots here at bottom lane.
Yeah, and that and that's kind of the other problem with Morgana. She heals off of her passive when she does magic damage, so she has a deceptive amount of hit points.
Yeah.
And her magic shield, not only does it stop the CC, it absorbs damage. So, there's a tremendous amount of extra hit points. LeBlanc invading J4 in the jungle. I don't know what's going to happen here. I think probably nothing.
A little aggressive. I think she just wanted to check it, see what his health was at, and maybe try and steal a little XP, because she just distortioned over the wall and quickly flipped right back. So she really likes doing that, apparently.
Yep. Yeah, so, part of the problem, especially with Kate's low damage in these early things, it's going to be really rough for Thresh Kate to kill Morgana, and that's another reason why Morgana AD is a hard counter.
Pantheon, once again, trying to do an auto attack, just fight with Darius, and Darius just ravages him once again, because Darius, he absolutely loves it when you stay in auto attack range like that.
I can't support Pantheon fighting that fight. If you look at what he bought on his last buy, he just bought that longsword. He bought Boots of Mobility. Boots of Mobility are not a dueling item. You spent like 800 gold. Yeah, you spent like 800 gold on basically no combat stats. That's almost a pickaxe. That's like 25 AD or 40 armor off of a chain vest or anything like that, or almost 400 health. All of the dueling stats that you could get off of that are just, blank. So if you're already behind in lane, buying Boots of Mobility and then trying to all-in someone that's ahead of you, it's going to end up exactly how we keep seeing it, where you're going to die. He does get to chase down this Darius now. But unfortunately,
comes in from the back, and he's just going to get destroyed here because he has no tanky items. There's a heal actually going down from, who was that from? Rotated up with a heal. LeBlanc has a heal. Interesting.
Yep.
Anyway, he manages to come up and save that guy, and Jarvan manages to barely escape there with the Banner Dragon Story combo. But right now, it's looking pretty rough for all of Purple Team except for this bottom lane. This bottom lane is the only saving grace right now, and they're actually even a little bit behind. They did get a kill, and so the gold is pretty even, but in terms of CS, they're just a tiny bit behind.
Yeah, just a wave, a little, like 100 gold, give or take. But yeah, unfortunately, and like Pantheon doesn't play well from behind. That's the champion is very all-in, and all-in champions being behind just means they're not going to be able to do a lot in fights. He probably should start roaming. He should push the lane and then just like jump into other lanes and hope to get kills. Unfortunately, his other lanes involve LeBlanc, who's almost impossible to kill in lane, and roaming all the way to bottom. Morg Varus is a possible lane, but Morg can just spell shield the Pantheon jump, and so there's going to be no lockdown.
And unfortunately, Darius did finish that Sunfire Cape, so he is going to be doing tremendous amounts of damage now in those melee, and Pantheon just will not be able to contest. And Darius is going to be able to push up.
Joss goes down on Varus here, but there's a lot of damage going down. Forces the Varus flash, but I think that's all it's going to do.
Thresh ultimate does go down, and it does slow up Morgana a little bit here. Caitlyn gets forced way out, and Morgana actually misses the binding there, and that's going to be enough for blue team to get out. Vi is rotating down, so is Lux, but Lux gets caught out by the LeBlanc there and just destroyed by that Deathfire QR combo that we know and love.
Yeah, walking in, face checking a bush against a LeBlanc that's missing, especially that bush where LeBlanc, like if you've watched solo queue some, she can blow him up.
Meanwhile, she comes back down. Morgana gets caught a little bit out, might be able to get the kill. There's the flash. Ace in the hole goes down. Lucian, why do I keep doing that? Varus blocks that Ace in the hole. It is that skin. It is messing with me. It is such a cool skin, but it's just,
in any case, I messed up the teams earlier. Morgana's on the same team as Pantheon, so he would be jumping on Kate Thresh, which is, a little bit better, but at the same time, Thresh can Lantern Kate out if she's too far overextended. They have a ton of CC if Pantheon jumps in too hard. So it's a little bit better than jumping on a Morgana, but, not a lot.
And first turret goes down, bringing that gold advantage to just under 5K.
Yep, 4.5K.
just under 5K in blue team's favor. But they are winning pretty substantially across the board, and they're going for a dragon right now. So this gold advantage is just going to spiral more and more out of control the later this goes on, unless purple team can get some big catches, which blue team looks like they're just not going to give him.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people to catch. Thresh is great against stopping catches. Vi is tremendously slippery. Kate's one of the best ADs for being slippery. LeBlanc, obviously. And then, you know, Darius is just hanging around RPGing up in top lane against Pantheon and doing a great time. So Darius is really the best target for catches. So I should really just be rotating up there, trying to kill him. He is 301, so he has a streak as well, so that's a bunch of extra gold they can pick up.
Yeah, they really need to land one of these findings on one of these very potent targets like LeBlanc, Darius, that's worth a lot of gold, and get that huge gold influx on some of these targets that really need it. Like, I would say Lux would be a really good candidate for this, or Varus. But Pantheon, I think he's a little too far behind right now. I think you gotta just kind of like let him go and hope to God that he will get the chance to farm and make his way back. Because right now he is very far behind.
Yeah, and he has been farming okay for being under tower. Not great, but okay, especially against a bully like Darius.
Yeah, but Caitlyn trying to do what she can here, and she is actually going to keep maintaining that advantage at bottom lane, and both of them do have their blood.
Big rotation coming up to top. Lux and Vi both rotating top. J4 will be there after red, most likely.
Oh, there's the dunk. Big damage go down here on Pantheon. He does go down. They are going to be able to get the turret. Lux is coming, but Lux does not want to get into this by herself. If she gets caught out, she will go down. Yep.
Yeah, she doesn't even have her Athenes done yet.
Yeah, so she needs that on Athenes before, because once she gets that cooldown reduction, she can actually do a lot of sustained damage versus targets.
Yeah, but she doesn't have the burst, and Vi will just Vault Break her away. So
J4 looks like he's trying to go for a catch there, but not quite able to do it. And meanwhile, blue team rotating towards mid. Looks like they are going to be able to push down this turret here with LeBlanc and Caitlyn. Should be more than enough to take down this mid turret. And looks like all of purple team is trying to respond to try and hold this off, but I think it's going to be too little too late.
Yeah,
might be
a good
enough
Q
to
hitting
save
two
it.
people by Varus. So, you know, that's some decent poke, scare them away a bit. And they have everyone here, so it looks like they're going to be able to defend this turret. Whether they get to do anything else with it is going to be, you know, because they have all 5 mid, so, you know, and it looks like...
I think we're finally at the team fight stage, and I think blue team wants to fight this. They're just waiting for Darius and Vi to come in here, because if Vi can get a good initiate, it's going to be pretty rough for this this purple team. But purple team, they do have that wombo combo. Like, this is not over. If they can land the wombo combo, and
it's not really a wombo combo. It's more of just a lot of CC.
LeBlanc does big damage to J4, and now they lost their initiator right now. So unless Morgana can get a huge catch here, but LeBlanc has so much damage right now where it's not really doing too much. Thresh burns the ultimate here back in the mid lane, and it's going to be enough to pick up the kill there for Darius on the Varus. And Morgana goes down for the Vi as well. So now, once again, it is a 5v3 here at this mid turret, and blue team is just pushing out very strongly. Jarvan is actually forced back. LeBlanc actually manages to stop that from going down. She is going to try and get this kill, just kind of cheesing over the wall here. We'll see if she can actually get it. I think he is dead, because all it takes is one more distortion Q, and I think he's going to go down. He decides to, he's like, nope, I'm out. I'm going to manually walk home. So blue team's still pushing out.
Definitely the right call by J4, just getting out of there without dying. But blue team, if you saw that, like, they didn't even have a very good engage. LeBlanc DFG'd Lux and then did most of her damage to J4, and still like ended up getting him almost dead.
Well, she does have DFG into Sork boots right now, and she probably has enough gold to actually go back and buy like a needless, just a blasted one right now. So
yeah, well, I mean, you know, with where she's at, she might not even go hat. She might just get Void Staff.
Yeah. And
just make it so like no one can ever do anything about her, because she has enough base damage that magic pen is very valuable.
So it looks like we are still seeing like a little bit of defense here from blue team. LeBlanc looks like she's going to try and go for a catch once again. Jarvan actually getting a nice knockup on her, but once again it's LeBlanc. She is slippery.
She's just going to distortion away. You know, you got to catch her when she uses her distortion in instead of her distortion out.
Yeah. or a prolonged engage where she's forced to use her distortion, jukes back.
And you can keep, yeah, she has to juke back to it, or you can keep on, you know, you can get on past her dash, which is pretty hard, you know, with Pantheon being as behind it is. That is a great thing. Lux really
that was a beautiful binding there from LeBlanc, but unfortunately nobody else was really there to follow it up.
Yeah, I don't think we've even seen a final spark out of Lux.
Yeah,
you know, like that was a beautiful time. She had 2 squishies lined up for, you know, triggering it on, you know, triggering the passive on it too. Like
Vera's doing some nice poke here, but yeah, we need to see a nice binding here from LeBlanc, followed up by a final spark to get 2 people out of the fight. Whether they're killed or forced
Yeah,
back.
I don't think it's going to kill him, but it is going to poke him way down, or just make it so like the follow-up from like J4 and Varus can kill people before they go deep. Too deep. Pantheon as well. Like, you know, they're hitting catches, they're just not taking full advantage of it. Like, I want to see, you know, Lux hit a binding and then go into slow ult.
I'm actually kind of rooting for Purple Team because I want to see this comeback. Because like,
oh, they gotta
gonna
catch, but it's on Thresh.
But it's going to be all on Morgana here. Morgana, she just got to land a bind, or Lux has got to land a bind, and that's got to be enough for blue team to try and like overcommit.
Another bind on Thresh. Are they going on this? No.
Nope, they're still just poking. They're still just poking, but meanwhile, LeBlanc and Vi are rotating and around the side. Purple team is aware of this, so they are backing away. Blue team actually manages to steal the blue buff there, which is going to be enough to kind of diffuse this situation.
And unfortunately, like, Purple Team had a feel for it, but they didn't do anything. They should have engaged mid while it was 3v5.
LeBlanc does take a little bit of damage here, and it looks like Blue Team wants to fight this dragon, but they are aware. They're like, okay, this team has a lot of AoE. We got to be a little careful here. So, decide to play it safe, back off a little bit, just clear the jungle out a little, and then
they're ahead. They don't need to force fights.
Yep.
You know, they need to win, they need to take objectives, but they don't need to force fights that could be bad. Just keep farming, keep your lead. Your lead will diminish, even if you keep it at the same, like, total amount of gold. You know, the power of that lead will diminish over time, but, you know, if you just keep taking objectives with it, you're going to do fine. Although they aren't taking objectives right now, they're just kind of...
Yeah, right now we're just dancing around. Lux still throwing out bindings, but nobody's able really to find these bindings, and LeBlanc does some big damage. That's going to be enough to force Morgana back, and this might be the opening that blue team needs to actually force this engage. But maybe not. It looks like she's healing back up. Big damage. Ace in the hole. Is it going to happen?
No. Yeah, I'm just hoping, like, I want to see these Lux combos, but she just doesn't
want to
use her ult.
Flash goes down there from Jarvan to actually mitigate that ethereal chains there from the LeBlanc. So Purple Team actually forced to burn quite a few cooldowns here, and that's going to be enough to force them all the way back. And now Blue Team's going to be able to get a free dragon, it looks like. Well, yeah, Vi engaged it. Okay, I was like, are they going for it? So another dragon here. Gold advantage is going to be just around 10k here for Blue Team after this dragon. A little bit over, and keep in mind, they only have outer turrets down, so it's not over and done, but Purple Team, they just need to, like, turtle up, get a little bit of a comeback here, and get a catch. They need a catch.
Yeah, Thresh going back outside the bush on top of a ward, it looked like. Whatever.
It's a little dangerous. Blue Team here just going back, managing to clear some more jungle here. LeBlanc still roaming around, just trying clearing a little bit of vision. Purple Team just running around the map. They're really scared right now, so they're just kind of like balling up on mid lane right now. So Blue Team still just kind of roaming around. Caitlyn's free farming at bottom lane, just maintaining that gold advantage, getting a little bit more out of control. Well, what's actually funny is Varus is more itemized than Caitlyn, but meanwhile she hasn't gone back and she's sitting on 3k gold.
Yeah, so she's gonna go back and buy a full Phantom Dancer. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So doesn't finish her boots yet. But
Purple Team actually manages to get a turret out, chipping away a little bit at that gold, but unfortunately, it's still about 10k. So,
yeah, and you know, surprisingly, they're giving Purple Team a chance to get back in this because they're building Banshee's Veils.
Yep.
And that's you know, that's
or the Randuins rather.
Yeah, well, Morg has the Banshee's Veil finished already, which is pretty impressive. First item, Banshee's Veil, Morgana.
Well, remember she didn't have any gold items, so
yeah, she sold the ring too. Oh man.
Oh, Blue Team actually going for the hard push here because they realize Purple Team committed to top. And there's a Final Spark to clear some of the minions. That's the first time we've seen Final Spark, I think.
Yep.
And down goes the turret, and they realize LeBlanc is out of position, and down she goes. And now blue team is going to have an extremely strong push here. I don't think they even have to wait for minions.
Yeah. They have minions on the minions on the tower. They're gone now, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's Thresh hitting over the walls.
Purple team is still pushing up on this top lane. Looks like they think Varus and Morgana is going to be enough to hold off this 5-man push in mid.
Truthfully, a base race might be the best thing they can pull off here.
Yeah.
They're probably just going to take a couple towers because they knew they couldn't defend the inhibitor.
So that maintains that gold, but the problem is they did get an inhibitor out of here, which means the lane is going to push really hard. Morgana, flash bindings there, and it's actually going to be enough to have Thresh engage on her, and there's a slow, might be enough. There's the Thresh ultimate. There is the ace in the hole, picks up the kill. Now Lux is caught a little bit out, but it's not going to be enough. Caitlyn wants to get out of there, and Thresh just wants to keep playing
He's
around.
just 1v1ing Lux. No biggie.
Oh god, is he going to win this?
If she didn't have towers, he would have.
Meanwhile, actually,
the base race is still going on. They did stop people from going back, but I think they're going to lose a second inhibitor, so not
and that's very rough.
Oh, this is bad.
Yeah, with these two people down, they're going to lose out on everything. Purple team looks like they are throwing in the proverbial towel here. And blue team, they are going to be able to get the second inhibitor here. We'll see if we see the surrender, but oh man, down goes the Lux. LeBlanc getting her low, and Vi sweeping the floor. So
yeah, I wouldn't call it throwing in the towel. I would just say they took a gamble. Nice pick by Varus. Unfortunately, Pantheon's jumping in. Oh, he's just
clearing minions right now.
Yep.
So purple team definitely having a little bit of trouble here trying to find their footing, and blue team still pushing out across everywhere. Everything's pushing. They're raiding the jungle right now. Might do a quick Baron here. Regroup, and
with 2 inhibs down, you know, this game with that much advantage and 2 inhibs down, like blue team needs to, you know, DC and not pause, or just like not do anything for 15 minutes to give purple team a chance to get back into this.
Yeah.
They can't. Purple team can't win team fights. Their tanks aren't big enough to actually engage against the enemy at all. This Kate's trying, you know,
their
Kate
Jarvan
wants to
is their only tank. Pantheon decided to go full.
Morgana has more hit points than J4 right now, so I mean. She's, you know, and she wants to get in there too. So, yeah, it's, you know, who knows? But yeah,
Varus did finish the Infinity Edge, so he does have big damage when he gets those crits, but it's not super consistent.
Yeah, they don't even have vision on Baron. Lux just randomly ulted it. So, but it also doesn't look like they're going to force it. Should be,
blue team should really force this Baron, because, like, all they need is purple team to try and overcommit to a Baron, and it should be easy as cake for him. Because all they have to do is have LeBlanc sit there auto-attacking Baron, and as soon as somebody drops a ward, she just jumps over Distortion, kills them, and then jumps back out.
Yep.
And that will most likely be the game. Are we seeing some cheese here?
Yeah. Well,
cheese.
As we were talking about, I don't see this throwing in the towel. I think they're just going for, like, a...
he's not going to be able to win this fight. He might be able to take out Caitlyn, but unfortunately Vi is there to support, and down goes Pantheon, turning this into a 5v4 yet again, which means they're going to get something. Blue team is going to get something. It's either going to be 2 turrets and an inhib, or LeBlanc killing everyone.
Yep.
I'm not sure which one. We will call a shot in a little bit.
Yeah, my bet's... I'm going to take the over on LeBlanc killing everyone. But yeah, we'll see. We can hope for 2 turrets and an inhib. Yep, she flashed for it.
And gets it with the ethereal chain. Oh man, blue team, it is now a 5 versus 1. We'll see if we can have a heroic defense here from Lux. Pantheon is in, coming in with the boots of mobility into the home guard. There's the drop, man drop coming in. And all its glory, Pantheon does get out. Oh man, Varus gets hooked back in, and there's the dunk. Not quite dunk enough. Blue team still going out. There's the flame. Purple team getting pulled back in. Down goes Pantheon. Blue team still pushing out, and down goes the Nexus. So blue team taking a commanding victory over that fight. So big booty bandits raiding it up.
Yep. So LeBlanc murdering everyone.
Yes, that was the. I think a very good highlight of that was LeBlanc LeBlanc, LeBlanc, LeBlanc.
Yeah. One of the more interesting things we got to see that game too is when you're in the air, if you have a character that doesn't like turn insubstantial like Maokai, for instance, Pantheon, if you have a dash, it still moves you even though you're in the air. Your z-axis is up. You're still moving across the ground in a straight line. So if you saw that when Pantheon jumped Kate, he actually jumped through her trap. So he landed on her and was rooted, because he had jumped through her trap. So he actually ate cupcakes midair. So this is something to, be aware of, that like things on the ground can still pick you up, even if you're in midair.
Okay, so we did finish a lot of the games in that second round. Right now, where there's one game that still looks like it's going on. So Team Electric versus the 4 Nepo Senpai Daisuke. I hate having to say that. They're still going on right now. But the other ones, we had Big Booty Bandits versus TemporaryIGN, which is the game you just saw. Big Booty Bandits did come out ahead. Xanarch and Apes versus Prodigy Gaming. Xanarch and Apes came out ahead. Shrek is Life versus Dance Party Tima, T-E-M-A. I'm going to go with Tima. Anyway, the Dance Party TMA was victorious in that. Bye Bye Boomer versus Comfy 2014. Comfy 2014 did come out ahead. And the X Hamsters versus Cascade. Cascade is the victors in that one.
Yeah.
HSMG or Riot versus Attack on Children. Attack on Children, one of our veterans in our league, did actually come out victorious. And then the Shy Guys versus Redidida, and Redidida came out ahead. So it looks like we're going to have the winners of the final game of that round 2, which is Electric versus Daisuke. That's going to be up against the Big Booty Bandits, who you just saw come out ahead. And Xanarch and Apes versus Dance Party Tima is going to be one of the other games in these. We're still 2 rounds out, so we got 4 games in this one, 2, and then the finals. So, Comfy 2014 versus Cascade, and then Attack on Children versus Redidida. So yeah, we're well on our way through this tournament. We'll be coming up on round 3 here very, very shortly. And it looks like the next game we are watching is going to be Comfy 2014 versus Cascade. So we'll be jumping into that game in just a few moments. And
yeah, I think we're going to go on break for a couple minutes, just for a short one while we get all of the next round set up and waiting for that. So
yep, quick short break here. Make sure you stick around. And
don't forget, follow us on Twitch. Helps us out tremendously. Takes almost none of your time, none of your effort. And if you're interested, check out that fantasyesports.com. Warrior Esports Fan League. Take a quick look at that. See if you want to play around. Should be a great time. Be very interesting.
Yeah. So we'll be back in a few minutes, guys. We'll see you on the other side.